What do people pleasing, poor digestion, poor sleep, brain fog, chronic pain, and a whole bunch of other things have in common? Well, you've probably guessed it from the title, nervous system dysregulation. That's what I'm talking about in this episode of Wellness by Design. I'm Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer. And this show, Wellness by Design, it's all about being intentional and being empowered in your health, about changing your body's response by not by reacting to the world around you, but by intentionally designing a life based on what your own body needs. And when you do that, especially when you get that nervous system regulated again, your body can begin to heal. We're turning on natural healing. All right, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the 8 signs of nervous system dysregulation and how you can deal with nervous system dysregulation. And I'm going to lead you through a great exercise at the end that's going to help regulate. Okay, so stay tuned until the end and I'll join you there. And in the meantime, if you're new here, thank you very much for tuning in. And if you're a longtime listener or watcher, thank you so much for being part of my community and helping me in my mission to help more people get out of chronic pain, reverse chronic conditions so that they can live their life again. It's part of my mission and it's just what I love to do. So thanks for being here. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I shall see you inside the episode. Okay, here we are on Wellness by Design. I'm Jane, and we are talking about nervous system dysregulation. So I'm going to talk first of all about what is nervous system dysregulation, what does it mean, and why it's a problem, 8 signs of nervous system dysregulation, and then what to do about nervous system dysregulation, including an exercise right at the end. Make sure you stay tuned for that because I'm going to help you regulate your system. We'll test it before and after to see, did it work? Did it help? All right, so let's get started. What is nervous system dysregulation? Well, let's talk about the nervous system and the two modes of operation of the nervous system. So we basically got systems as normal, things should be normal, everything a-okay, and that's called the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system. Often it's just called the rest and digest system, or I like to call it also the relaxation response. So it's the response of the nervous system when everything is operating as normal, life is normal, everything's okay, all of our systems operate as normal. So the nervous system kind of sends the chemicals and electrical signals down to the rest of the body saying everything's fine. Digestion can happen normally, the endocrine system can operate normally, the musculoskeletal system, the immune system, the reproductive system, all of these systems can, lymphatic, right? All of these systems can operate normally because everything's a-okay. It's just like a normal old day. That's where we should be most of the time. Now, the other branch of the nervous system is the sympathetic state, also called fight, flight, fear. A new term that's sort of newish term that's coming up a lot now is fawn. So this is also the stress response of the nervous system. So when we're stressed, well, it's actually was there to protect us in a life or death situation. So if we were let's just go back to imagine we were being chased by a tiger. And so if we were being chased by a tiger, then we need to get all of our, forget all of the digestion and all of that stuff. We need to probably fight or run or, freeze if we're going to hide and be really still, or there's a fawn behavior that's kind of more modern age response. So basically, the nervous system, when we're in that state, that sympathetic state, the fight, flight, fear, fawn state, also I like to call it the stress response state. Well, we're responding to stress, and our nervous system thinks that it's a life or death situation. It thinks, as long as we're activated in that mode, that we're in mortal danger. Okay? Our life is in danger. And so what happens? All those systems that I mentioned, the digestive system, the endocrine system, the reproductive system, the hormone system, lymphatic system, all these systems kind of go a little bit offline because we might need to fight for our life. And so all the resources are going into, breathing quickly, heart rate up in case, we got to run. All the blood goes to our big muscles, right? In case we need to run or fight. And so that's where we are. And so it's not things running as normal. It's like we might be in danger. The problem is that our nervous system doesn't understand that that the stress we're experiencing in our modern lives is not mortal danger. We are not really afraid for our lives, but it will think. But the nervous system thinks that. The nervous system thinks that if we're getting like things are stressed, it thinks we're in mortal danger. And so things like I don't know where I heard this expression, but I remember someone said our brain can't tell the difference between taxes and tigers. So as far as our brain is concerned, if we get that in Canada, we get these buff colored envelopes from Canada Revenue Agency, and all I got to do is see one of those, and it's like, right? So I will immediately go into the stress response, and then my heart rate will go up. I'll probably start clenching in different areas. My breathing will get shallow. I also get like I don't think as well. That's the other thing that happens. Our cognitive function goes offline because our brain is set up that way so that we're not like long-term thinking. We're just doing quick responses in the amygdala. That's the that's that part, that fight or flight part of the brain. And so my as far as my nervous system is concerned, it thinks I'm in mortal danger and I had better, be prepared to fight, flight, flee, whatever, right? So that's that response of the nervous system. And so obviously that sympathetic state was there to protect us in life or death situations. We were never meant to be there all the time, obviously, because all these other systems, we need them basically going and operating efficiently. So if we are mostly or frequently in this fight, flight, fear response of the nervous system, the stress response of the nervous system, then we're going to start to see signs that things aren't working so well, right? Digestion, I'll talk about that in a minute. So we'll get signs. I want to come back to the fawn thing because that is sort of, it's kind of a newer term that's being thrown around. And I think it's basically as a result of our modern lifestyle because when we are a lot of these responses are coming from thoughts and beliefs that are kind of stored in our subconscious mind that have been there for a long, long time. And so some of these, the response that we had when we were really little, if we kind of felt stressed for some reason or threatened for some reason, we can't fight because we're too little. We can't flee. We can't freezing probably doesn't work that well, although sometimes we might do that. But we're too little to do most of those things. But a common thing that we're seeing is fawn. Fawn. So that means we are fawning over someone. So we in order to feel safe, we fawn with people around us. So in other words, we'll be people pleasers and we'll try to be like the good little girl or good little boy, and then we'll grow up and still try to be good people and do good things. So those types of behaviors are kind of fall under that fawn, which is kind of cool. I don't know who came up with it, but it's a great term. It kind of reminds me of if you've read any of the work by John Sarno. He one of the terms he uses, goodism. People who have a lot of chronic pain and chronic condition issues, he'll say they suffer from goodism. So they're always trying to be good people. They're like the volunteers. Gosh, I was there. The volunteers, they're the ones that are, always, oh, I'll do that. So those types of behaviors are also signs that of dysregulation of the nervous system. So, well, let's talk about dysregulation. Dysregulation really, well, so we should be able to switch right back and forth between the stress response and the relaxation response. When we should get a message that coast is clear, everything's fine, I'm not in mortal danger. Time first to go back to the relaxation response, all systems operate as normal. The problem is that message isn't getting through, probably because we're stuck in this response. So the message that we're safe does not get through. And it could be for a lot of different reasons, things stored subconsciously, but we are stuck in this permanent stress response. We may not even know it because it might feel so normal for us that it just seems normal, or you'll say, I'm not stressed. But really, there's like maybe a low grade, maybe higher grade, but there is some level of stress there, and the nervous system is dysregulated. Now, if you're thinking, I'm not stressed, there's nothing wrong. I don't feel stressed. I'm not having any stressful thoughts. I'm a positive person, yet you're having health issues. And so whenever I see someone some people know that they're stressed, or they know they've had a stressful event. And so that's kind of where I was. I had known that I had this stressful event that led to rheumatoid arthritis. And then when I look back over my life, I could actually see that, yes, I was kind of stuck in this self-doubt feeling, not belonging type of feeling, really my whole life, even though most of the time I was pretty good, I would think. But I would, well, I'll get to that, some of the other the signs. But anyway, I did have signs really that I was, well, there was physical signs. That was my first clue that there was a problem with my nervous system. Tense muscles and things like that. And what we know is that people who have a lot of chronic conditions, chronic pain, other chronic health conditions, often have poor vagal tone. So what does that mean? That's the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, it is the parasympathetic branch, or the relaxation response of the nervous system. That the vagus nerve, it means wandering nerve, and it wanders all over all of the organs in our torso, heart, lungs, right up through our neck, innervates at the back of the tongue, the ears, even the eyes, and into the brain. And we know that the vagus nerve has about 80% ascending fibers and only 20% descending fibers. So in other words, there's a lot of messages going from down here to up there. And when people are chronically have a dysregulated nervous system, the vagus nerve loses tone. So basically, messages are not getting back and forth very well. And that continues to lead to the systems of the body not getting the messages in from the brain, and the messages from down here aren't getting up there. So it loses tone. It's kind of, think about a muscle that doesn't get used and how it loses tone and starts to kind of waste away. It's the same kind of idea. But we can actually do some exercises to help stimulate the vagus nerve, to help get that parasympathetic branch of the nervous system going again. I think of it like a jump start. Our parents used to have this old Datsun car, and we lived on a hill, luckily, because the only way they could start it was like a jump start going down the road. So it's kind of like that, or jump start the nervous system into the parasympathetic, the relaxation response. All right, let me get into some signs, 8 signs of nervous system dysregulation. So I've kind of hinted at some of them. First of all, protective behavior patterns. I call them protective behavior patterns because the reason why we come up with these behavior patterns is because we didn't feel safe at some point in our lives, and we needed to go into that fawn, so protective behaviors to perhaps fawn or freeze. Maybe we just move away from people. But some of the examples that I've seen a lot of and read about a lot is people pleasing is one. So really always, trying to keep everyone happy. Perfectionism, right? I have to be the best and I have to do the best. The unheard messages, or people won't like me, or I won't be loved, or I'm not good enough. The inability to set boundaries, can't say no because, well, if your life survival depends on pleasing other people, well then you're going to do whatever, so you can't say no. Hypervigilance, so being really like careful all the time, making sure everything is safe, you know checking the stove multiple times before you leave the house. Or this is an example I heard recently, I thought it was pretty cool, is leaving a phone message, and you got to make sure you leave your number twice, make sure they get it, making sure everyone's looked after, and also just sort of being hyper aware of how did she react when I said this, and just really aware of people's reactions. And hyper independence, I'll do it myself, forget about it, like forget asking for help. It's just easier to do it myself, right? So those kinds of behaviors. So that's these protective personality behaviors. And it comes about because ultimately deep down in our nervous system, we don't feel safe unless we do these things. And then another one that I would say, oh, I'm going off my list, but I'm gonna come to this one next. Protective, like physical things going on. So what's protective physically? We start to get tense and tight muscles. It might seem weird that it's protective, but that's our body's response to protection, is to, like that stiffen up, right? So if you notice you get a lot of stiffness in your muscles and in your joints, and I mean, this happened to me for years. I always had neck problems and shoulder problems. Shoulders going up, right, is another protective physical sign. And then pain, chronic pain is another protective behavior. Headaches, fibromyalgia, just in general, like chronic conditions can be a sign that are physically, right, we're in protection mode. Inflammation is a protection mode. Okay, so an overactive fight or flight response. So what does that mean? You might get a lot of heart palpitations, sweating, tremors, easily startled, like a sense of panic that seems like, doesn't belong where you are. I remember this years before the RA came along. I was really stressed at times in my job as an engineer and teaching engineering, and I remember I was sweating so much all the time, and I just thought, I just sweat a lot. I used to have to go in the bathroom and use the hand dryer to dry under my under my arms. I was so sweaty. I don't sweat like that now, but that's where I was then. And just really like having my heart just racing sometimes and not really understanding why. But yeah, so an overactive fight or flight response, and the easily startled, like someone could go boo, and I'd be like really jumpy, really jumpy. So that's, we're not feeling safe. Like it doesn't take much to make us feel not safe or get startled. Sleep disturbances. Okay, so this is kind of because how can you rest and digest if you are in fear mode? If your nervous system thinks it's got to be on edge because you might be in mortal danger. So you might have difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep or getting the deep restorative or REM sleep, right? So any type of sleep issues could be a sign as well. So chronic fatigue, even if you do get sleep, you're still like dragged out and tired all the time. So that's another one that I used to get, just like, oh my gosh, I just got to come home and lie down. So that's another sign. Digestive issues. So I mentioned that, if you're not in the rest and digest mode, your digestion system is going to be on the back burner. And so then you get digestive problems. So you might be getting acid reflux or not enough acid, or you might be getting gut infections, different types of infections, or you're just not pooping very much, or maybe pooping too much. So really any of those signs of digestive disturbance, IBS, nausea, even. So, any of those issues could be a sign that the nervous system is dysregulated. Okay, where am I? I think I'm down here. Cognitive problems. So, I mentioned when we are in chronic fight or flight, that stress response, we are designed for that cognitive thinking part of our brain to kind of go offline because if we've got to make quick decisions to fight for our life, we don't want to be thinking like through all what are my 10 options here and how would I evaluate the best one is maybe we don't want to be doing that. We want to be ready to fight or just go, right? And so we don't think very well. So we have problems with concentration, or we might have poor memory problems. We might be having problems making decisions. We might have brain fog. I remember this happening to me again. I think this was after the RA came along, but while I was still working and I taught engineering and I was teaching something I taught for, many, many years. It was an equation and I was writing it on the board and we were working through it. And I remember that for a minute, I could not solve the equation. And I had been solving equations my whole life. And I really had to, it scared me. And I really had to think about, oh, how do I do this? And it took me a minute or two, but I got it going again. But it was a little bit of a scary moment for me. And of course, as soon as any of us have those issues, we start to think Alzheimer's, right? We start to wonder, am I having a senior's moment? And these are not normal. These are signs that the nervous system is dysregulated. And then the immune system. The immune system is one of the systems that goes offline again because if we need to fight quickly, dealing with long-term infections and having the immune system in tip-top shape is not the body's priority. And so you might be getting sick a lot, like can't fight off viruses or bacteria. You may be getting more allergies. You may be struggling with autoimmune conditions. That's what happened to me. So there's little signs along the way, and I hope that you catch them early. For me, I had to get hit really hard before I caught it. I didn't know. That's part of the reason why I want to talk about all this stuff so that people understand and know and can catch things sooner because you can always go back and regulate your nervous system, but the longer it's been dysregulated, it's probably going to take more time or more effort to get it regulated again. So those 8, I hope I'm going to try to say them in the right order, but I know I've read them in a different order. Protective behavior patterns. I think the next one I said was physical signs, right? So muscle pain, joint pain, headaches, fibromyalgia, stiffness in your joints and muscles. The next one, overactive fight or flight response, sleep issues, chronic fatigue, digestive problems, cognitive difficulties, and then immune system issues. All right, so that's the 8 signs that the nervous system is dysregulated. Now, if you've got just one of those, maybe it might be the nervous system, might be something else. If you've got several, then you'll probably have a dysregulated nervous system. And in our society, a lot of people do. That's just the way it is these days. We're chronically stressed. Things like, the phones and dings and email and the environment that we're in with electromagnetic frequencies, they're not harmonious for our body. So, even though we're not thinking stress, our nervous system senses it. And stress in our lives and just a whole lot of societal kind of pressures, social media, all of these things can create stress in our lives. So why do we need to address nervous system dysregulation? well we don't want to be going around with those chronic conditions, right? And if you don't address it, it's not going away. It's probably going to get worse and worse over time. So you want to address it by getting your nervous system regulated again. So how do we do that? Well, I'm not going to pretend that I can give you the three things to do in this podcast and you'll have it. But I'm going to give you some starting points, okay? So, the quickest way to get ourselves into the relaxation response is with the breath. And the other beautiful thing about the breath is that we've always got it with us, right? We don't have to worry about did I bring it with me today? We've always got the breath. It's the ultimate portable device. So when we are stressed, the we tend to do shallow breathing. So we breathe into our chest. We tend to breathe quickly, and we tend to sometimes even hold our breath. And we also may tend to breathe through our mouth a little bit more to try to kind of gulping. So in order to do the relaxation response, we want to do the opposite of that. We want to breathe into the belly. We want to breathe long and slow breaths. Breathe through the nose if possible, and and just breathe. So practice just slow breathing, and you know what? As soon as usually most people, as soon as we say like, okay, slow down your breathing or pay attention to the breath, they'll automatically slow down. But you can do things like counting the breath and counting the breath. So you want to start like extending, right? Anywhere from 5 to 6 breath, like seconds to breathe in, and then a pause, and then 5 to 6 seconds or longer to exhale, and then a pause. We really activate that parasympathetic state when we exhale. That is really helpful. Breathing into the belly low down brings the diaphragm down, activates the lower lobes of the lungs, and that triggers the relaxation response. So you can practice some different breathing. I've got a lot of videos already on breathing. But what I wanted to talk about today was another tool for vagus nerve. So I mentioned the vagus nerve and how it gets out of tone, and the vagus nerve is the parasympathetic, the relaxation branch of the nervous system. So if we can kind of stimulate that vagus nerve, then that's going to help. So I'm going to do sort of a combination of breathing and vagus nerve stimulation. Okay. So before we do that, I'd just like for you to see, so you've got a kind of a measure. Just turn your head as far right as you can until you get like some pain, or just like it just stops. And notice, line your chin up with something so you notice how far you can move your head. So do the right and turn it around and do it to the left again, and notice what your chin is lining up with before we start. Okay, then next you want to, what we're going to do is just kind of tilt your head to the left. So tilt your left ear towards the left shoulder, and then use your left hand, bring it over the top of your head, and kind of massage your right ear. So we're going to massage the right ear, like the top part of it. I'm moving all around. I'm down around the earlobe, doing some little massage here, right on the inside as well. Really like moving it around. And now while I'm doing this, or I'm just going to hold on to the ear and just have like a little bit of light pressure on the top of my head, but not much. And I'm going to imagine that I'm inhaling through my ear. Okay, we're going to make this up. I'm going to inhale through my right ear and imagine it's coming down through my eustachian tube, through the chest and into the belly. And then when I exhale, I'm going to imagine going up again through the throat, through the right eustachian tube, through the ear canal, and out through the right ear. And we're going to do another one. Inhale, imagine the breath going in through the right ear, through the ear canal, down through the eustachian tube, down through the heart, the lungs, into the belly. And then exhale up again out, up through the throat, through the eustachian tube, through the ear canal, and out through the right ear. And then release that. And then slowly tilt the right ear to the right shoulder. Now the right hand is going to come over the top of the head and going to massage that left ear. So really wiggling the outside of the ear around, inside of the ear, down around the earlobe, even behind the ear. Really give it a nice little massage. Squeezing all those parts of the outer part of the ear, moving it around. And then I'm just going to rest my right arm over the top of my head, kind of pulling on the top of the left ear. And we're going to imagine the breath going in again. So imagine inhaling, just make it up. It's going in through the left ear, down through the ear canal, through the eustachian tube, into the heart, the lungs, and the belly. And then exhale, reverse that back up through the lungs, the heart, the throat, the left eustachian tube, the ear canal, and out through the left ear. And now inhale again, in through the left ear, down through the ear canal, the eustachian tube, in through, down through the heart, the lungs, and into the belly. Reverse it as you exhale, back up through the throat, through the left eustachian tube, the ear canal, and out through the left ear. And then release all that and just come back to center. Maybe you just need to kind of wiggle around a little bit. Scrunch the shoulders up and down. And now we're going to do that little test again to see how far you can turn your head. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm like way past where I was before on the right side. And I'm going to the left side. Yeah, a little bit more. Not quite as pronounced on the left side. I'm wondering what you did. So let me know in the comments, did you experience a little bit more looseness in your neck as a result of that? That's come from your body going, okay, I don't need to hold on so tight. So we did some vagus nerve stimulation, and that evoked the relaxation response, and probably some of the breath work there helped as well. So that's just a little exercise to give you a taste of what you can do to help relax your nervous system. So share this with some friends. Let me know what you thought. Leave a comment and just tell me what surprised you the most out of that. And let me know, did you get a good response? Did you get a little bit more mobility and movement in your neck as a result of doing that? Now, what's one thing you can do today that's going to initiate healing? I would say the one thing would be to take a moment to just notice the breath and feel calm. And then maybe you can take another moment and then take several moments. And somewhere along the way, you're going to begin to relax the nervous system, and you are really helping your body. You're getting your body into a healing state. It cannot heal if it's in that stress response. It can only heal when it's in the relaxation response. So thanks so much for joining me on Wellness by Design today. Oh, and don't forget, sign up for my next webinar or masterclass. Just go to thewellnessengineer.com/webinar, and you'll know when my next one is. And right now, the next one is coming up in July. I'm going to be talking about how to go from pain to peace. So, we're going to be talking about nervous system regulation, and I'll be teaching you more stuff. So I hope to see you there, and you can save your seat now. And please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, share this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it. All of us can do with a little bit more nervous system regulation and relaxation. I think the world will be a better place because of that. Okay, my friends, I'll see you again next time on Wellness by Design.